Okay. Good evening. This is the September 24th, 2014 meeting of the Urban Conservation Commission. This meeting is being broadcast live and is also being recorded for later rebroadcast. Our meetings may be viewed online at www.auburnguide.com and clicking on Playback of Government Meetings and scrolling down to Conservation. Before we begin, is anyone else making a recording of this meeting? All right, if not, the first item on tonight's agenda is 7 o'clock hearing for Jeffrey and Valerie Ray, request for determination. Please, absolutely.
Hopefully that's the next thing we're going to do in this one.
So, just want to let you know that we, several of us did go to your property after our last meeting on September 10th. I believe we went actually that following weekend. We walked the property. Actually, many of us have been there in that area before, so it wasn't foreign to us by any means. And I think that there's such a great distance between the back of your house and also the brook that runs there, plus the change in elevation that, at least based on my view, there shouldn't be any problem with constructing an addition. What members did note, though, was that you have a shed out there, and there was some, you have some firewood piled near there. And technically, since that, we have a 25-foot, basically no build or no man's land, if you will, between the wetland and any activity. I don't know if what your plans are for that shed, if you plan to keep it in place, or what you intend to do with that shed.
We'd like to, yes.
Okay.
That's been there for 30,
Been there since the 70s.
25, 30 years.
Okay. I'm just curious, how much firewood do you tend to stack against the shed?
That's all just left from when we cut down those previous trees.
That'll get burned.
That'll get
pretty
burned
quick.
and won't be anything left.
Okay, so you plan on using it and removing it?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you won't replace it with more firewood, will
No,
you?
no.
No.
Okay, all right. Any other comments from the board? Dan?
Nope.
Louise? Okay. All right. Any comment from the public? And there is no public, so
You are the public.
that's why they're quiet. In that case, can I have a motion to close?
Motion to close?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, thank you.
Reyes.
No.
What's going on?
Is there a motion regarding the request for determination of applicability?
I'll move that we issue a negative determination.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, very good. All right, you're all set. We will issue a negative request for determination. We will prepare that, sign it, and you are free to go.
A negative means a good thing.
Right.
Yes.
It means you do not.
I couldn't kick you, we're too far over.
It means you do not have to file a notice of intent with the board. So you're all set to proceed with your
Thank you.
project. Good luck.
Thank
I'll
you very
probably
much.
get that done up on Monday and get it out to you.
Thank you.
Can you just call me so I can come by and
Oh,
you can put it part of the
sure.
packet? Yeah? Okay, that would be great. You still have my number.
You want the original?
Well, because I can get it to them to file it. I just want
Oh.
to make sure that we can, now can I still file the permit without it being recorded and then
Oh,
bring it
yeah.
back? Okay,
Yeah.
then we'll
Yeah.
do that. So why don't you call me
Yeah.
when that's done? That way I
Okay.
can kill two birds with one stone.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Good night. All right, here's a determination that needs to be signed by those that voted.
Fancy new colors in here, like
Very fancy.
blue paper.
Who
7
made it?
members at the table.
I know.
Dan made the motion for the negative determination.
Who seconded it?
Who did?
Louise, okay, thank you.
And while we have a few minutes, I would like to formally welcome Matt Benoit and Tom Fallon as members to the Conservation Commission. Actually, both of these gentlemen are known to several of us. Matt was our conservation agent for a few months at least. I don't know how long it was,
I'll
but
say
it
for 3 years.
was it 3 years? Okay, like I said, he was here our conservation agent for 3
Months,
years.
years.
He's the one that
Months
trained
months
me.
together.
Is that right?
In
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah,
days, it's
and-
months.
and he did-
So he's who we have to blame?
He did a
Yes.
fabulous job.
He didn't do minutes
All those
either.
shenanigans, it's all your fault.
But Matt left us in 2009. He's back for more punishment. And then Tom has rejoined us. And you left 2 years ago?
Last year, when my wife and I took on foster care,
I'm
these two
losing
kids
my
that
mind.
were a handful.
Well, welcome
Time
back.
flies.
Glad to be back.
And we're glad to have you.
Yes. This is Michelle Colross for the two
Yes,
of you that
Michelle.
don't know Michelle. She joined us last week.
Yes, so we are just
We have a full board.
we are full complement now.
Are we allowed to have more than 7? Just have a couple spares, actually. No?
You know, actually,
Can you have 9?
Alternates, maybe?
You have 9?
actually alternates
We need
can-
2 more.
Make a baseball team
It's not
now.
like a jury. No, actually, alternates can apply and be members, but they just can't vote. But in any event, I'm very pleased that we have a full complement. So we don't have another matter until 7:15, but we can go over the meeting minutes for last week if you're so inclined.
I just wondered where that signature sheet went.
Oh, I
Stop
have
for
it.
you.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Grandstanding.
Excuse me?
We're doing a little grandstanding,
The
so,
buck stopped there.
yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, we were welcoming the members, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Did you want me to put anything on that, I don't know if it's too late, that like, no storage of wood near the shed within the 25-foot buffer?
You don't have to sign that one?
I don't
Uh,
believe so, I have
Oh.
No.
Your motion didn't do that.
No, it did not.
Do you want to amend your motion?
Oh, to
Add that.
ask them to not store materials in the same place in the future.
Yeah.
I would amend my motion to include that the homeowners should refrain from storing material in that location in the future.
Which location?
Within the
That's the
25
the
foot.
shed.
Within the 25
Within the
feet of
25-foot
I think
buffer.
you need to say, yeah, okay.
Okay.
And I'll second the amendment to the motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain, sir.
Okay. It's a vote. Thank you, Sheila. 3 years?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I
So,
think having fun.
Earlier, so late on there.
So I don't know if members had a chance to look at the meeting minutes for September 10th. I did submit some corrections, which I did send to all of you, and Sheila was kind enough to include them.
Maybe before you do that, I just want to let you know, 11 Southbridge Court, he might be just a little bit late.
Okay,
And also the gentleman,
Mr. Lovejoy?
Mr. Flug, I believe,
Oh.
from Forest Park, he might be just a little late.
Okay, very good.
Somewhere between 8 and 8:30, he had to do an errand.
Okay.
Camp Gleason was going to try to get here for 7:15. That was another switch around, because Hill Street, were they coming?
They're not going to come.
Right.
And
So that's why I figured I'd just get them in here.
That's fine.
They didn't think it was going to be too long. Steve Coleman, I think, is coming in
Okay,
to just go over that.
all right, very good.
And everyone has that little email that I received from Brian Sheridan. You got that? Yeah.
Yep.
That was just today's stuff that I had, that I gave today.
Okay.
And that was emailed to everybody just to have a heads up.
I was at the fire department last night. I'm making a donation to my business for the fundraiser they're having. They're doing a thing at Mechanics Hall, like a Jimmy Buffett tribute kind of thing.
Oh,
And I talked to two of the firefighters at length about it, and they told me that they've already been called out to do 3 rescues in Grafton for cars that went into the water, so that's why something
Really?
like this is really important.
yeah.
And basically, he said, yeah, I think they're stripping the car down to
Yeah,
nothing but
right,
the seats.
shell in the seats,
Right.
yeah.
So, interesting.
till they get there.
Well, while we have a minute, I have a question. Did anybody, did we get an application from the town or from R.H. White for the installation of the gas line on Central Street down by the bottom of the hill? That's within the
We didn't-
buffer area of
We didn't get
the
anything.
Brook there, isn't it? Should
Um,
we
I-
not have gotten some notice on that?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I think we knew that they were running a gas line up Central Street. They did not file with us, though.
I didn't know anything
Are
until
we-
they were digging out front.
Are we certain that
I
RH
couldn't get in.
RH White do the installation?
That's what I understand, yes.
Okay, then I think maybe a letter would be in order.
But I think the town is supposed to file, aren't they?
They-
I wonder if that would be covered under Bill's thing, various roadways in the town of
That's-
Auburn?
That's not your normal upkeep, though.
Yeah, we
That's-
are
that goes
entitled to
above
notice.
and below.
I mean, obviously, we got notice because if you drive on Central Street, you
Yeah.
can't miss it, but we should have been notified.
Yes.
So I think Louise is right about that. We can take it up in a few minutes.
Okay.
So are we looking for meeting minutes or?
We are.
Okay.
I had sent some corrections before.
So I have two sets of those there.
Do you? Oh, okay, good. You've got my set, Louise.
Okay, are they the
'Cause I've got
same?
my old one here.
Sorry.
Yes, they are.
Excuse me.
Thank you. I was wondering where mine went, 'cause these are old.
Any changes?
Nothing jumps out at me.
Okay, well, that's high praise.
You thank Mike for that. I just have to change the bold print here. I didn't realize I missed that one.
Which one is
Oh,
that?
you want me to leave it like that?
No, no, no.
Page
no.
3?
Oh, you're right, 11 Southbridge Court. It's just that it made sense that if we're going to ratify an order, we should find out who issued it in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I like the use of abbreviations.
You too?
Yes. indeed. Do we have a list of those abbreviations on the website that we were talking about?
we talked about it. I don't think we ever did it.
Hmm.
That could be another project check.
No, I think we should.
It'd be
definitely
helpful. I
create
agree
one.
with you.
We may even have them in our bylaw that we
Yeah.
can take that information from and just kind of propagate it to another.
It's our bylaw.
I think we do.
Like definitions or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm
That was
looking
under
at.
the regulations, the definitions.
Oh, right.
And I don't,
But under bylaws, we don't provide
I don't think.
abbreviations. We're
I
acronyms.
thought we had like a sheet I could.
Mm. No.
I guess.
You have a question?
I think, well, there was one minor item on the 15 Hertz gravel road. This is on back, on the decisions. I think one of the conditions was not only that the maintenance reports, the existing maintenance reports for the detention basin oil separator submitted, but also when they plan to make a cleaning, that they send us notification. I know we said that in our decision, so you may want to just mention that notification and maintenance.
In advance, is that what you mean?
Notification and
Of when they're going to do it.
yeah, as well as the existing maintenance reports.
Michelle, do you have anything? Okay. Chuck, are you satisfied?
Yep.
Okay. In that case, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of September 10th as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, I have 7:15. You may recall that we had requested the owners of 71 Hill Street to come and see us. And the owner, one of the owners, Ms. Haggerty, had contacted Sheila indicating that she and her husband had scheduling conflicts that prevented them from attending. And so I actually sent Ms. Haggerty an email yesterday and trying to come up with, I guess, an acceptable compromise. And basically I asked Ms. Haggerty and her husband to provide us with just a brief narrative of what steps they took to remove the grass clippings and the brush that we saw adjacent to the wetland area on 71 Hill Street. And then she indicated that they would be amenable to us doing a site walk, although not over the next few weeks, just to look at what has been removed to make sure we're satisfied that the enforcement order has been complied with. So I think what we can do is, if the board approves, I will try to obtain a date from Ms. Haggerty at a time, and I'll communicate that to all of you. Just so you know, and Tom knows, what we tend to do is we do our site walks Saturday mornings, usually at 9 o'clock. And so, I'll try to schedule it for Saturday in the morning at a time that's convenient for everyone. Okay, so why don't we talk again about the gas line that was installed on Central Street. As Louise indicated, and she's absolutely right, that line was put in about 2 weeks ago.
About
2 to
that,
3
I
weeks
think,
ago.
time flies
And
away.
I'm not aware of anyone giving us notice that they were doing it. Clearly, they were doing work, within our jurisdiction. Although it's in the road, it still would have been nice. I think we should have received a notice. So, and I suppose even a request for determination for that matter. But perhaps we can draft a letter to Mr. Coyle asking him about the status of the project. Any thoughts about that?
That pipeline runs all the way from the town hall to the Central Street intersection, right?
It does.
So that I see the well.
Yeah.
It looks like the part that's to the extreme right of the road looks like it's probably going to have another coat of asphalt. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's built all the way up to the top.
I assume they're going to refill it. I don't know if that's part of another paving project or whatever, but yeah, I'm not certain that the work is complete. And
It'd be
clearly,
nice for them to come and tell us.
clearly paving is an exempt activity. They don't have to notify us when they do paving work, but I think the pipe being installed,
Yeah.
that's something that should have been done. So,
So who are we going to send the letter to?
well, I guess we need to find out who authorized the project. If it was the town of Auburn, then I suppose it should go to Bill Coyle.
So, it's exempt anyway, it's just that we need to be notified.
To be notified, and it's just, it would have been nice if we'd received notice, something like that. And also, I can, work on the letter, just asking him if the work is completed and, noting the fact that the pavement has not been completed when he expects the paving to be done. Okay.
right, is that gonna be a motion or what?
Well, it'd be nice if I had a motion to do that.
Okay, I will move that we send a letter, possibly to Bill Coyle, if in fact the town was the originator of the project.
Okay.
I presume it was.
Yeah, and asking what is left to do there, if they're going to do any future paving, and that
The status
would
of the
have
project?
been, would have been, yeah, the status of the project, I mean, would have been nice. Or did they feel that we should be notified?
I'll prepare a draft and I'll circulate it before it goes out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, it's a vote. Okay. Is one of you Mr. Sheridan?
No.
Okay. Not having good luck tonight.
They
Okay,
just had
would you
him
like to come
send the
forward?
letter.
Good evening, thank
It's
you.
all about the same thing.
Okay,
Hi, my name's Steve Coleman. I'm the chief of the Auburn Fire Rescue Department.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
Behind me is Glenn Johnson. He's the assistant chief with the department. So
Excellent.
thank you for having us this evening so we can talk about our request.
Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Oh, good to see you.
so proceed.
All set?
Yeah.
So we did provide a communication to Sheila. Do you know if this email got
It did,
forwarded?
everyone's
Okay,
got a
great.
copy. Yeah.
So as you're aware, the Fire Rescue Department is going to be hosting an underwater vehicle recovery class next week here in Auburn. This class is not only for the regional dive team in which Auburn participates, but there'll be divers from other communities coming in as well to take the class. Focus of the class is to give divers the opportunity and the practice to remove victims from vehicles that are submerged. Also, in the event that vehicles are submerged, but there is no life safety hazard, the appropriate method in which to go underwater and secure the towing cables to the vehicle so the vehicle can be removed. So in order to have this training, it is necessary for us to submerge a vehicle in a body of water. We have been working with LKQ. They're an auto recycler in Webster. They've graciously donated the vehicle to us, but for a small fee, they're going to strip the vehicle down. The engine will be removed, the gas tank will be removed, any of the containers that held fluids will be removed. So essentially, when it gets to us, it is cleaned. We anticipate the vehicle would go in the water at Camp Gleason sometime Friday morning, and then it would be removed by LKQ on Sunday afternoon. We have spoken with Mass DEP, the emergency hazmat people, spoke with Nick Childs, the DEP chief over there. He has no issues or concerns. Ken Smith from the Water Department has no issues or concerns. And I did tell DEP that I was going to be meeting with Concom for your permission.
Seems very straightforward to me. You've done Mr. Sheridan did a good job in outlining, areas that we would normally be concerned with. And just so reading this and hearing your presentation, I don't see any issue or any problem with any potential hazard at Camp Gleason or clearly the watershed in that area. Any other thoughts?
I got a question. What about the glass? No windows?
The glass will be removed. There is no glass in the vehicle. And again, that's a safety issue for the divers.
Sure. Which half of the pond is it going to be on? The one right
It's
near
going to
the
be,
beach?
when you're standing on the beach in front of the building, it's basically going to be submerged straight out
Okay.
from the beach.
What kind of, do you have any heavy equipment used?
A tow truck. A tow truck. They're going to use a flatbed to float it out there, and then they're going to use a cable and a flatbed to retrieve it from the beach.
It sounds like a worthwhile project, and again, we thank you for coming in and letting us know.
You're very welcome.
Just for curiosity, how many people will be participating in the training?
The town of Auburn, the Fire Rescue Department, we participate in a regional dive team. We contribute 5 divers and 4 ground support boat operator personnel to the District 7 dive team. There's a total of 22 public safety divers on the team. A good, I believe, 17 of the 22 will be participating, and then there'll be a few from the state of Connecticut that will be coming in as well. So there'll probably be about 22, 23 divers on scene for the 4-day course.
Major training, that's great.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in.
Great, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
So, we have a few minutes before the 7:30 hearing for 11 South Bridge Street Court, which Sheila advised might be late anyway. What I would like to do, since we have a few minutes, is to talk about the appeal that was taken by the Massett Family LLC of our decision denying an order of conditions. I believe you've all received a copy of the decision from the Mass DEP, basically upholding our decision and denying the appeal. What the decision does say is that they basically remanded that claim or that filing to the Conservation Commission. So, I mean, I haven't heard anything from anyone from Waterman Associates or the applicant, but I presume at some point they are going to come back to us. I think what we need to consider going forward is the fact that prior to Massett coming forward with that proposal to realign Faith Ave and replicate the wetland, we're dealing with a project where half of the wetland has, or the replicated wetland has failed. And they are under an obligation under the order of conditions for it to succeed, to take the steps that are necessary for it to be a viable wetland. And so I wonder what the board thinks about perhaps sending a letter to Mike Scott at Waterman, requesting what intentions, if any, Massett has in coming back before us. What are your thoughts on that?
It's sort of up to them anyway, what they're gonna
Well,
do.
it is up to them, except that at some point, you know, an enforcement order is probably is going to be going their way because they have to deal with the wetland that has failed. As for those of us who have been there, the number of invasive species that are in that wetland are choking out native habitat, and if it's allowed to go unchecked, it's going to. And I don't know if it's a situation where the wetland that is working it will be jeopardized by jeopardized more so by invasives, but
didn't we issue a negative determination for the invasive removal?
that was different. That was for the property where they purchased the lot where they wanted to do the replication.
Okay, so that wasn't the replication.
That was in the wooded area.
Right, the wooded area.
Okay.
So I think it's a different issue. If you want, and maybe what we can do is we can carry this matter over to the next hearing, and we can discuss it further. But I'd ask you to maybe think about what further steps we want to take for that site.
Just realistically, I don't think they're going to address this issue anyway, right? You can't reestablish anything at this point.
Probably
here,
not.
can you?
No, I think you're right.
So, yeah, we could ask them what they're going to do, but nothing's going to happen for 6 months anyway.
Right.
So,
And they might have an easier time with invasives removal where a lot of the above ground is going to be dead if they get to it early enough in the spring.
Okay. If you would, Sheila, just carry that forward.
Sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. Is anyone here for 11 South Bridge Street Court? Okay. Well, you're right on time. Okay, is there a motion to open the 7:30 hearing?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, would you come on up, please, and identify yourself for the record?
Sure, I'm Ed Adamian, currently the owner of 11 Southbridge Street Court.
Okay.
And this is Ed Navosky, who is the owner of 13.
Number 13, Southbridge Street Court.
Okay, very good. Okay. We have received a call concerning some activity in the wetland area. And I actually went out to the property of Mr. Damiak, and I saw what I thought was an encroachment on the wetland. Not necessarily that there was material being placed in the wetland, but the fact that there was activity being conducted in the vicinity of the wetland without any notice given to our board. Under the basically under the Wetlands Protection Act, any sort of activity that's within a certain area of wetlands triggers the jurisdiction of this board and requires a filing of some sort of document with us, whether it's a request for determination of applicability, which is whether or not your activity requires the filing of a further notice of intent and more, I guess, regulatory involvement, or is the type of activity where, depending on steps you take, there's no need to file a notice of intent and you can proceed with your project. So that's why an enforcement order was issued, because we had not received notice, and it was clear that you were doing work next to a wetland.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
so why don't you tell us what you have in mind and what you've done and what you propose to do?
I don't propose to do anything with the wetland.
Okay.
My intention was, as I showed her the pictures here, that Ed took last year.
That was
If
about a
you-
year and a half ago.
Before I
complained
owned the
here,
property, and I didn't, well,
Department of Public Works.
apparently the people that last lived there didn't pay for trash collection. So their idea of disposing of their trash was to put it down into the water of the wetland, just throw it. You can see it behind the picket bushes and
Mhm.
all the rest of it. And I'll pass that around if you want.
The
There's,
dates are right on the back when I had them developed.
he took those
I
pictures
drawn to
a year
Paulo
before
Rossi.
I moved there. So
And I went to the DPW, and they said they were investigating it, but they wanted me to go look in the bags.
Okay.
So
And
because
that was
it-
the last I ever did it.
Well, what I'm hearing is that you notified other people, but that we didn't receive notice, and
he came here with
Well,
the pictures.
I brought him here
Do you
to
recall
Sao
when?
Paulo.
Yeah, last year.
It was a good year and a half ago.
Went to the Board of Health.
Okay.
Yes.
we have a separate. I mean, sometimes there's overlapping jurisdiction, and so, but filing with the Board of Health would not have put us on notice of any problem with filling in or dumping of trash in a wetland, sir.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I just showed up here and I went to the DPW also.
Uh-huh.
If you look close, it's hundreds of bags of trash.
There's a lot.
Hundreds.
That's
And the
quite.
dates on the back of those pictures.
Okay.
And he took those a year before I bought the property.
Looks like January 11th of 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nothing was ever done with them.
So what one of my neighbors who called and heard anything going on was the fact that I had a friend who had a bobcat, and we knocked down all of the picket bushes, and we were putting the bags of trash in the bucket part of the backhoe and bringing them to a dumpster.
Okay.
So when I received the order to
Stop.
stop, I stopped and did the rest of it by hand. So when the hundreds and thousands of the wonderful, all the bags of trash were gone, I found barrels. I found tires still on their rims.
Mhm.
I found a swing set, a metal one. I found a metal bed frame in there. I found a small engine in a barrel. I filled half the dumpster with what came out of there the second time around. Because when I got the cease and desist, we stopped the backhoe and I did it manually because I didn't want to cause any problems.
And when did you acquire title to the property?
In July.
July of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the picture of when I'm finished. I'm now done cleaning. That was my intent, my project. That's all I wanted to do was clean it. I
Okay.
didn't want to build anything. I don't want to fill it in.
Okay.
I know where my property ends. I'm going to be happy to let all the picket bushes and everything grow back. I just wanted to clean it. That's all I wanted to do.
I understand.
And if
and
I,
I-
I didn't know I had to file anything to do that, and I apologize if I had.
That's,
you know.
believe me, that's a laudable goal, sir.
It begs the question, why weren't we notified when it
Well,
was
I-
going
I was
on?
Well, right.
You know,
I was
I'm-
gonna say something at the end, but.
Well, you were notified when it was going on. There was a backhoe down there.
sorry,
You know,
yeah,
and I
Yeah,
thought-
she's
Going to
talking
the
about-
When it
I
was
know
all
that
dumped
the
there
bad
before you
people
were the
dumping
owner.
in there.
Well, he knew that, and he
No,
was.
He's a
no,
nice
yeah.
guy,
What we're saying
wow,
is-
you know.
they went to a different part of the town, and I mean,
They didn't get
it's
to us.
actually, in my view, I don't know what the chairman feels about it, but I think when someone in another department hears that there's a wetland issue, that they should tell us. Like if someone comes in here and they don't know where to go,
Yeah.
they shouldn't be punished because they went to the wrong department.
I agree
That's my,
wholeheartedly.
that's my opinion.
Right, it shouldn't
Yeah,
fall into a
he-
black hole just because
Right.
they didn't talk to
Just
us.
because it didn't go to the right place.
I'm glad he did, because I didn't have any
Yes.
pictures
Yeah.
from before I started.
Well, and again, I second what Chuck said. I will tell you, sir, that had we known about this back in January of 2013 or at any other time, we would have taken steps because, I believe our board, we enforce the regulations and the law. That's our job, and we take it seriously. So all I can do is apologize if you weren't, your concerns or complaints weren't addressed by the town.
I realize everybody's, they're busy and,
Well,
probably more important things.
And Mr. Damiak, I don't want you to feel you're being punished for good deeds, although it may seem that way.
Well, I was kind of shocked when I got the notice, but I said, okay, I'll come and
Now,
tell you what my intent was, and that was my intent. I have grandchildren, I don't want them, I mean, there's household, shaving razors and all this stuff in these bags. It's just household trash.
I'm
It
sure
never
it was.
I don't
sure.
think the people that lived there had decided that they weren't going to pay for trash collection, and that's how they took care of it. They walked it down the end of the property and threw it down the little bank, and that was there.
Now, I did see the house. The house looks like it needs some work. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
What are your plans? Are you just going to basically just renovate the house?
Yes.
Okay. And
Make it livable, like a new kitchen,
Clearly.
things like that. Yeah.
and like in terms of a driveway, do you plan to pave that, or are you going to have a dirt driveway?
I am miles away from even thinking about that right now.
Okay. So
We're
are
going
you,
to pave driveway where there is one already.
I couldn't tell because
I
of the
had a
dirt.
driveway
There is a
until the
driveway
water
there.
washed it
All
out.
right.
There is a driveway from the street, and there's beside it there's a 5-foot
This
easement,
was my driveway.
and that comprises what was his driveway. But there is a driveway there.
Okay.
Yeah, there
All
is.
right.
Just that when
That's the
water
road.
washes over the road, it brings the
That's
dirt,
the,
you
uh,
can't see it all the time.
Okay.
The little brook in front.
So are you have you finished your cleaning activities at the property?
Oh yeah, when I took
Okay.
these last set of pictures and I said the dumpster, that was
Washed my
the
driveway
day I
right
was
out.
done. I took pictures because I was doing it manually. I didn't have the benefit of any kind of machine, so
Okay.
to help me.
Do you happen to know offhand the
There's the
distance
road
between
and
the
there's a
side of your
tape
home
measure.
and the wetland area?
That's about 5 inches. They washed
The
right out.
wetland that's adjacent to the house at 11 Southbridge Court.
What about it?
Do you know what the distance is?
Far as-
There's a marker which is like 2 trees at the end of my property, and,
Okay.
and I don't know. There's probably 10 or 15 feet, or maybe more, before you get to the actual water. There's a
Waterfront
little
property.
going down. That's probably like a little embankment. So
All right.
I think that little embankment and probably back up to the 2 trees at the end of my property is the buffer zone you're talking about. I have no intention of doing anything with it except cleaning it.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to do.
Well, let me just say this: that if you do intend to make renovations to the exterior of the house, whether it's new siding or anything on the exterior of the house, and you're within 100 feet of the wetland, that does trigger our jurisdiction, and that would require you to file something called the request for determination of applicability. And the forms are available online. Ms. Conroy can certainly help you, or at least provide you with the forms. When we get requests for determination of applicability on a routine basis, and depending on the scope of the project, I would say as often as not, we issue negative determinations, meaning you don't have to file anything further with the commission. So I just would suggest that to you if you plan on doing any work to the outside of the house
Okay.
that's within 100 feet of the wetlands, that you have to file with us. But otherwise, I will say to you, and again, I don't think any of us were, I can say for myself, I wasn't aware of the amount of debris and garbage that was thrown in the wetland, and I thank you for cleaning it out.
Same.
You know?
I do too.
Just to make the board aware, and Sheila, you might remember this, I think it was 2008 or 2009, where Glenn Kravosky led a team of volunteers to clean up that river, starting right where Boulders was. The amount of trash we pulled out of there that day was substantial. But I don't think we got down as far as 11 and 13 of Southbridge Street Court, and I mean, there's still more to go. So this is, the area is not foreign to this type of thing.
No,
It's
absolutely not.
very good to hear that you did that.
So could I have a motion to remove the enforcement order?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, you're all set, Mr. Adamiak. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for coming in. And for cleaning that up. Yeah, very nice. A lot of work.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few minutes before our 7:45 meeting.
Should we take a walk down in that area from where Glenn Kravosky stopped and
I don't know how you walk. We took canoes down.
took
That
canoes?
was
That's
yeah,
the
that was
only, you can't walk it.
oh no,
Hmm.
not even in the winter.
Okay.
That's tough.
Does the town own any canoes? Probably not.
Isn't that where they pick up an alligator?
Could we do
Yes,
a
it is.
stone,
That's where the alligator
Stone
lives. You don't want
Bridge
to go
Drive,
walk.
the order of conditions, or do we have enough time?
We can't do it in 3 minutes,
Yeah.
but I assure you, we will do it. And we'll do it, actually, after the two enforcement orders, that'll be our next order of business. Okay. So,
He said he was gonna be here, so,
I see that we got a letter from Mr. John Campbell on Cranberry Lane.
yeah.
Okay.
Can
So,
I get yours on that one too?
Uh,
Yeah, 'cause I
have you
ended up
got
with
two?
two. I ended up with two.
Oh my goodness.
if you're giving away your stuff.
Thank
sure.
you. Has everyone got one of these letters? I hope. Yeah. Site plan on the back?
Yep. So apparently, again, Mr. Campbell apparently is requesting permission to remove some oak trees from his property. It makes sense to me that we should probably take a look. So, we don't have any site visits scheduled for this weekend, but if other members of the commission are interested in doing so, we can do that.
I can actually do it this weekend.
Excellent.
I don't know whether
Matt,
I'll
you
be
around?
available.
Actually, you took a look at it already.
You did?
I drove down the street.
Wow, you're just so
So-
efficient, man. Okay, and what did you observe?
I took some pictures on my phone, but it's not really going to help us.
Okay.
However, very, very nice, well-kept property.
Mhm.
There are 4 very large trees.
Okay.
Accurately depicted on this plot plan that all 3 of the 4 of them lean over this house. For the most part, they're very tall, 60+ feet.
And very old. What's the condition of the trees?
The trees, just the fact that they're on the slope, they just lean automatically.
Probably
And there's
not
already
such a
some
good
other
thing.
trees leaned up against them that have fallen past. So it's just
Okay.
a matter of time for these things. The board will see if we decide to go to this site this weekend. My question is how they'd be removed, considering the pitch and where they'd be laying, how the trees would be stripped, but
Okay.
otherwise, I see it as a definite threat to the homeowner.
Okay. Very good. Do we have the ability
Thank you,
to
Matt.
download photographs to the our website, Dan?
You could just email them to the town account from your phone.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be very helpful.
What's the Gmail account?
It's auburnconservation@gmail.
auburnconservation@gmail.com. Remember that. Send us a message sometime.
Okay. Great. So, shall we try for 9 o'clock this Saturday?
Sure. Sure.
Okay. And it's been a tradition of the Auburn Conservation Commission to meet at the Heritage for breakfast at 8.
I unfortunately won't be able to attend this one.
Okay. Well, anyone who's interested will be there at 8 o'clock. And if you're not
And the
there,
new people pay for.
They-
No,
Oh,
First timers.
I'm just kidding.
What is
I think we need a motion for that check.
Oh, all right.
oh.
56, 27?
27, that's right. Okay. All right, I now have 7:45. Is there a motion to open the public hearing for 498 Rochdale Street?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? It's a vote. Mr. Goodman?
Okay.
So, Mr. Goodman, we issued you an enforcement order.
Yes, sir.
That required you to file a notice of intent with us today, by today.
Okay. I did not, I was unaware of that.
Well, sir, the order was sent to your wife Valdette Manfron at 49 Mount Avenue. and it's listed on page 3 of 4. It talks about completing an attached notice of intent. I know in speaking with Ms. Conroy that a notice of intent was sent to you.
I was under the impression that you sent me a package telling me that I needed to be here. That was basically what my understanding of it was. I didn't read through the paperwork. I didn't realize I had to fill something out and give it back to you.
You also told us that you were going to have the wetlands delineated by someone, I think, from Ecotech.
And I did.
Really?
Yes.
Is there a plan?
There is. It was surveyed last week, or partially, because whomever decided to, he went there on Saturday and started shooting in the flags, and then I'm assuming it's the guy next door. It's whoever's calling went over there and ripped down some of the flags that were put in there, and when he went back on Sunday, they were not there. So I don't know who it is that did that, but you know, there was a good probably 80% of them were shot in, and I sent that plan over to Joel. I don't remember his last name, with the DEP from Ecotech, and
Joe Bellino?
Joe Bellino, that is correct.
Why
Yes,
didn't
sir.
you send us a copy?
I didn't. I can send you a copy. I mean, I can forward you a copy in like 2 minutes if you'd like.
Well, I don't know if you can send it to us in 2 minutes, but I will tell you, sir, that I'm disturbed by what's happened at this property. You may recall that you met with Mr. Reich and I end of August, so it's been a month.
It's been some time.
Yep.
And at that time, you had started, or site work had started at your property, and you had talked to us about the feasibility of putting in a driveway running to Rochdale Street to your lot.
That is correct.
And at that point, you recall that we strongly suggested that you contact a wetland specialist to basically study that property, see the feasibility of a road going in that area. We then learned afterwards that the scope, or the actual footprint of the building site had expanded substantially and had impacted a channel. Granted, it was dry, but it was a channel that certainly seemed to be jurisdictional. And that's when we were contacted by the abutter. I've walked the property several times, so have other members of the commission. I personally delivered a copy of the enforcement order in the cab of the excavator that was at the property. And I was advised that work continued even after that.
Well, I didn't. I mean, nothing was cleared or anything after that. I don't. Well, when was it that you dropped off the packet?
I'm not sure specifically. Actually, I
mean,
can tell you.
That wasn't my
Sorry.
machine.
The
Anyway.
dates in the minutes.
Excuse me, I can tell you because I have an email.
Okay.
In the minutes, we have it too. I
Yeah.
think.
It's this area.
I actually put it.
September 8th, says.
Yeah, September 8th, exactly. So I put a copy of the enforcement order in the cab of that bulldozer. I also know that Mr. Bellino sent you a violation notice from the Department of Environmental Protection. So, sir, right now you're under 2 orders, one from our board, one from the State Department of Environmental Protection. Have you done any work since you received Mr. Bellino's letter?
I have not. No.
Okay. We have the power, again, sir, I'm disturbed by the fact that you don't have a copy of a plan here. A plain reading of the enforcement order would indicate that we expected a notice of intent to be filed today. If you talk to anyone from Ecotech, sir, they're very familiar with enforcement orders, with notices of intent. They would have known that a notice of intent should have been filed with us.
I talked to you as soon as I got up. As soon as you left, by 10 o'clock, I had already talked to. I put a call in to Steve from Ecotech. I met with him the preceding Monday. He was out there by the preceding Wednesday,
Okay.
put the flags in. It took about 10 days before I could get the surveyor to come in and shoot in everything. And so he was shooting it in on a Saturday, and then the guy ripped down the stuff on Saturday night after he had left around dusk. And when he showed up in the morning, the other third of the flags or 25% of them were gone, mostly on the guy's property to, you know, up the street. You know, the abutters part, you know, the lots here to the higher side. That's where the majority of the flags were. So I'm assuming it was that guy that ripped them down. And I mean, that was basically it. I talked to the to Joel. He wanted the guy from Ecotech to give him a call, which he did. He talked to him. You know, all of the work was done. I met with you and I met with both of y'all. You told me that I was okay to stay on. Okay, you told me that I was all
Be
right.
very careful in what you attribute to us, sir.
All right. So when I met y'all, you said don't do any work on the lower half, but the part I was clearing up on the top part was uplands, and I was okay to rip out the brush that was in there. So that's what I continued to do. And then after that factor, he went by and he flagged the area after I had taken all of the brush out of it, or put it into a pile. There's one spot where it is in a close proximity, but all of the area that was affected, there was all the same type of loomish material. There was nothing. There was no you know, no brown or like nothing that appeared to be any type of wetlands whatsoever, or any channel that was in there. You know.
Can I just interrupt?
Please.
Yes, sir.
We don't know where the wetland is yet. So for you to say it was a wetland soil or not, the fact of the matter is you don't have testimony of a wetland scientist to tell us that. So unless you can show me your credentials, we don't know where the wetland is. Until we do that, you got to stop.
And the thing is, the ultimate gist of our conversation was, we're not experts in the field.
We're not.
Our suggestion
No,
was
we're-
for you to retain a consultant, have them flag it before there was any more cutting, not continue to cut to the extent you think is appropriate, and then get the flagging in, and then, you know, saying that we said it was fine to cut is not an accurate
We never
statement
give
of what we
advisory
said.
opinions. We don't tell people what to do. All we say is, you've got to file if it looks like it's in an area.
We may have said in the middle of the area that had already been cut, saying this looks like an upland area, but as soon as we got into the lower area where it was forested, you know,
And I didn't
it was uncertain. But the problem is, imagine if you delineate a wetland and the wetland flags say that 5 feet into the forested area is the wetland line, which would in that case mean that some of the cutting that had already taken place when we first met you was inappropriate. So in the absence of knowing where the line is, the action would have been to stop completely and
We
then
gotta
get
know
the
what we're
consultant.
dealing with. And the only people that can tell us that is Ecotech or some other firm that is in this field and can put a line down, put the flags down, and get it done. Until that happens, you can't go bulldozing around that in areas that appear to be jurisdictional of our board. This is something we have to do by law. We have to protect that area. So we can't just, well, yeah, I think this is okay, and that's not. No, we need a line. We need to know where it is. That's a basic fact.
So, are you saying to me that if I were to call Joe Bolino now, you're telling me he has a copy of a notice of intent and a plan?
I don't know what I'm not aware of what a notice of intent
Okay.
is.
All right. You told us that you contacted Ecotech
That is
to
correct.
flag the wetland.
That is correct.
Did they provide you with any sort of wetland plan or anything delineating the wetlands?
Yes, he provided me with a hand sketched plan.
That's all.
That's all he provided me with, and then I had Bob O'Neill, surveyor, shoot in what was out there, and he sent his information to me and to Steve at Ecotech, and I haven't gotten a secondary plan from him or back from him yet. You know, with the shot, I have a plan. I got a partial plan from the surveyor with what he had shot in on that particular property, which is what the width in which was sent over to the gentleman from Ecotech and also to Joel Bolino. But that's as far as it's gone. Nothing is seeming to move extremely fast over there.
Did you hand Steve at Ecotech a copy of either Mr. Bellino's September 11th letter to you, I'm sorry, to Ms. Manfron, or a copy of our enforcement order?
I have not, no, I met him the Wednesday preceding us meeting that Saturday, and I've talked to him a few times since then, but I have not given him, he, basically what he stated to me was he needed the plan back before, you know, and above and beyond the plan, he needed to, you know, he needed a perk test, and what else did he? Yeah, he needed a plan and a perk test to be able to figure out where everything needed to go in that area. And I mean, I initially called the guy to do the perk test, and he was under the impression, because he had done a plan in 2006 for the house that was there to put in the septic tank, that the guy never actually, I've come to learn, never actually even did. He was supposed to do it, but he
That's
kept...
not, excuse me, that's not our issue. The other thing is, and again, look, have you read the letter that was sent to your wife by
No.
DEP?
Nope.
You haven't read that letter?
Nope.
Why not?
Because I have not. I mean, I get up at 6 in the morning. I go to work. It's like I don't get. I mean, my days are busy. I have not read the letter. No.
Did Ms. Manfron call DEP after getting this letter?
No. I called the guy from DEP. I called Joel and I talked to him. He told me what he needed, and I got him what he needed.
Okay. Well, you didn't give us what we needed. Okay.
Okay. I can get you a copy of the plans that I have. I can, if you give me an email.
Sir, I'm not gonna. There's a process here that you're gonna follow because everyone else follows it. Okay.
Okay.
The document, the enforcement order required you. It wasn't a request. It was a requirement to file a notice of intent with us by today. That has not been complied with. And you told me that you didn't read the enforcement order. I'm not sure why you didn't do it, but you say you didn't, and I believe you when you say you didn't read it. Okay. Now, DEP. I'm not done yet. All right. DEP has the authority. They have the power to fine you. This board has the power to fine you if you don't comply with the orders. Now, what we've seen, and I remember the first visit to your property very clearly. The upland area, as it was at that time, did not appear to encroach any sort of wetland area. In my return visits to that property, I think you've expanded the footprint by almost twice as large. It was a good size before, and it's much larger now. And my observation, and in fact, when we went there, we saw what someone had flagged the channel where material had been pushed not only to the channel but over the channel. To the extent that that channel runs contiguously to that lower part of the property where you want to put your driveway. There's no doubt that there was filling of that channel area and probably a wetland. This is very serious. We take it very seriously, and I know DEP takes it very seriously. And in my conversation with Mr. Bellino, he told me that DEP is reserving the option of actually taking over enforcement of this site from us. And I'm going to tell you that could be a potentially expensive proposition. Okay, so I don't know who you're using. You've mentioned Ecotech. We're very familiar with Ecotech. They appear before us all the time, and they also, based on my experience, are skilled in preparing notices of intent. I don't know, and we're going to open this up to members of the public too, but I expected to see documentation today, which we didn't receive. We issued the initial enforcement order 3 weeks ago, and I think that was sufficient time for you to put together something. So I don't know. We've heard from Mr. Olson about this. We've heard from Mr. Reich. I don't know how other members feel, but before we go any further, is there any comment from members of the board?
I'm not familiar with the property.
Okay. Okay. Any comment from the public?
Yeah, I'm just Bill Barocas. I'm next door neighbor on the right-hand side, 40 Rochdale Street.
Okay, Mr.
And I'm just concerned about the fill that was dumped there recently too. That's a concern.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Okay. So, what does the board wish to do?
I think the problem here is there's a process that applicants have to follow, and it seems like whatever process has been followed here has been scattershot after the fact. Ecotech knows what the process is. So if you've spoken to them, they know what the process is. I don't know if they didn't communicate that to you. I don't know why they would not have.
Personally, I don't think we should lift the enforcement order, because I don't think it's getting through. I mean, you don't have to read the enforcement order, but at this point, particularly with DEP, having the ability to fine you $25,000 a day, I think you should take them seriously and read them, because they're aware of it and they may take over for us because we're not being serious enough in their view, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know how else to put it to you. You've got to go through this process of violence and forms. It's not like, it's not a big deal. You go through the process, you hire someone, and they know how to do it, okay? It's, all this stuff that you're saying, I understand. I work a long day myself. I volunteer my time here, so.
We all volunteer our time.
We're all busy.
It's something that has to be done. So I think we have to keep the enforcement order on.
Okay.
And we should consider what our options are.
Well,
as far as
I think, just speaking for myself, our next meeting is October 8th. That's in 2 weeks. I think, sir, if you didn't understand how seriously we take this, you do understand that now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I would be willing, just speaking for myself, that to continue this matter for 2 weeks until the October 8th meeting, with the understanding, sir, that you will have filed with us a notice of intent with a plan that where all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so there's absolutely no misunderstanding about what the footprint is of your house, what areas have been filled in, where the wetlands are in the vicinity of that house you want to build, and what plans you take to remediate any alteration of the wetland that you've already done.
Okay, as far as where the house is going to be placed and whatnot, if I can get all the other information to get that to them, I mean, I'll make sure your plan. I'll make sure you have a plan of everything that I have, and I'll make sure everything is filed through the guy at Ecotech. I'll tell him to run through it and file what he can. I can't promise you that I'm going to have a plan for where the house is going to be located at by then. If it has to get continued to the next meeting,
Sir, you're not hearing me.
Okay.
You're going to need to make some decisions by October 8th. Okay? All right.
Okay.
And the thing is, the delineation by Ecotech is itself going to affect where the house can be placed potentially. So it's a little bit, the way I look at it, it's a little bit putting the cart before the horse. The delineation sometimes guides where the placement of the building can go.
So again, it sounds like you've started taking the first steps to get a wetland specialist involved. So I would suggest that you follow through on that. Show them copies of Mr. Bellino's letter to you and also our enforcement order, and they will know what to do with it.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Okay, so is there a motion to continue?
Move to continue this hearing to October 8th at 7 p.m.
Exactly what, he's just going to kind of have everything ready to file by then, is that?
He's going to comply with the enforcement order as it's set forth.
Okay, well, he can't possibly get a notice of intent filed and advertised by the 8th, because that's just 2 weeks out.
Okay.
And the ad can't, I don't think the ad can go in time, because I'm not working tomorrow.
Right, I understand. So in that case, the
Two meetings from?
next hearing it would be the 22nd, right?
October 22nd.
October 22nd. So how much time does that give Mr. Goodman to?
It's a
22nd.
good month.
Okay. Well,
But no work is to be performed during that time.
Well, the
frame.
existing enforcement order is still in effect.
Right.
So
Okay,
the
perfect.
enforcement order is
No
going to remain
site
in
work.
effect. No work at the
No
site.
site work.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it's not
See-
it's not a request, sir.
Yeah, no, since the Wednesday that someone said stop work there, no work has transpired at that location. So, I mean, I was, whatever. From the time that I was told to stop work there, I stopped work there. I pulled the machine out of there.
Okay.
There's nothing, that's it. I mean, I'm doing nothing at that particular location.
Okay,
So,
all right. So,
Okay, so you'll get in touch with Ecotech.
yeah, I'll get the guy I'll bring in the 2 letters and have him do whatever has got to be done to
Okay.
rectify the situation.
okay,
I'll be here
so,
Monday if anyone from the.
Chuck, you want to amend your motion?
Okay, all right. I'll get him to give you a ring on Monday.
So I
All right.
would like
Um,
to amend
Well, actually, I
my
can get him.
vote.
Are you around tomorrow?
No, I'm not working
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay,
Friday.
all right. Okay, so you're off for, all right. No, I will get him to call you Monday morning.
Okay.
All right.
Chuck, do you want to amend your motion?
Yes, I'll amend my motion to make the date October 22nd at 7 p.m.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
So he'll be filing a notice of intent and have plans and everything on that date.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Yes.
we'll be having a public hearing on October 22nd for a notice of intent.
All right. Sounds
Well, in
Okay.
response to the
Thank
enforcement
you.
order, that's
Have a
right.
good night.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next matter on our agenda is an 8 o'clock public hearing for Hampton Street Forest Park. Is there here someone in response to that?
Yes, he is.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Steve Flug from Forest Park. Here to answer any questions you may have. We got the enforcement order, and we've cleaned up the pile of brush that was in the ditch and removed.
Okay.
And the trash that was under it was been cleaned up, so I think it's okay now as far as the cleanup goes. I assume that was the gist of the matter, was to remove the pile.
We actually went back to the property on September 12th, and we saw the immediate area that we saw had been cleared out. But
Yep.
we went further down the street. This is it, down the street. And we,
Down the street.
yeah, and we actually saw some more, like some logs. It wasn't as pervasive as the initial filling in, but we did see some brush and some logs in the vicinity of a culvert. I don't know if you know where that location is, sir. It's a little
Yeah, I
down-
think, downstream a little bit
Yeah,
further into
it's-
the
And so
woods, yeah.
that part had not been taken care of, and we thought it deserved
Should be.
attention.
Okay,
Okay.
I thought I read the thing as to being limited to the pile of brush, but
Okay.
I understand.
That was what we noticed first, but when we went back, we noticed that down by the culvert there was
It
still
wasn't
some down.
necessarily new material, but there were cut logs at least this big that at some point were just dropped right in the bed of the,
Oh, really?
who
Not sure
knows,
they've
it may
been
have been
seen
a
it.
couple years ago,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they
What
shouldn't
I
have been
saw
there in the first
that
place.
channel was, you could tell was just done recently. But that stuff was probably, like you said, it was probably a while ago.
Yeah.
And I think probably what happened is that the newer brush probably or cuttings probably obscured the older stuff that was there. So
We saw those
So you
right
saw
away.
one problem,
we went back
and,
and oh no, there's these over
but not the
here.
other.
So,
Okay, well, we have a tree company on retainer, I guess you'd call it, and we could have him go in there, very carefully remove that stuff. I should probably blocking that culvert anyway to some extent, so
It
it'd be
made
a
us
good thing to
uncomfortable.
get it out of there.
It did, and it wasn't. I don't think it will take a lot of work to clear it out.
Right.
So if you could do that, that would be
Okay.
be great. And then what we'll do is once you let us know that it's been taken care of, we'll make a visit and.
Okay.
And then we can just put this on the agenda for, I guess, October 8th, if that's agreeable to the board. And if everything looks good, we'll just, we can take care of the enforcement order at that time.
Okay, the only thing I can't promise you is whether or not our tree guy can
Okay.
fit that into his schedule, but I'll certainly make an effort to see that that happens.
Would you prefer that we
And I-
continue it until the 22nd?
That might give us enough time to, for sure, get it done. I think that would be better, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I could try to get it done by the 8th and let the
Sheila.
secretary know, Sheila know that whether or not it's been done, so you'll
Okay.
know at that point, and if it hasn't, then I'll do that same thing. I'll let her know that it hasn't, and
Okay.
it'll go to the 22nd.
should we just leave it on the agenda then?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be fair.
That sound reasonable?
Yes.
Okay, because we
Okay.
strive to be reasonable. All right, thank you, Mr. Flug. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming in.
Well, thank you.
May I ask a question, please?
Of course.
Well, I live in the general area.
Okay.
And so one day I heard a chainsaw going on the Packagug Street side, okay?
Okay.
And so I went in to see what was going on because that's not too far from some wetlands up in that area too.
Yeah.
And the young woman and a gentleman were cutting branches out of the trees, and she said she had permission from the condo association to do that, that they do it every year.
Really?
To keep the branches off their house, off their unit.
Yeah.
And they pile them up there and let them go to compost, and if they don't go to compost before the winter sets in, they take them away, is what I was told. Are you aware of that permission to those people?
No, I am not. I'm not. Do you know what area that you were in at that point? What unit it was nearby?
Yeah, if you, okay.
Look at the picture up there, where would it be?
Okay.
You just, when you go in, I'm trying to think of, it
Is
would
it these
be,
woods that we went and took a look? There's
Yeah,
like a
right-
drainage
it's
there.
right
Adjacent
here.
to that house?
it's
that
adjacent,
house?
it was adjacent to 280
Not
Packagug
here, so-
Street, so that's the second.
Can you slide it this way? So I think there's a drainage that goes through sort
Yep.
of like this, but it's
Around
not really, doesn't look like a wetland.
Yeah.
But I think it was up in here somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was the first unit as you go down the drive was the first one on the left right there.
Okay, across from the mail shed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I know who you might be talking about, so
Okay.
I'll check with her and see what
But
she
she said that
thinks
they
she's
had
doing.
permission to do that. They clear it up every
I
year.
wouldn't go
so
so
they
far
don't-
as to say that.
So I was just curious
You've got
as
a
to
tree
whether.
company coming in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, some people take matters into their own hands and they think they're doing a good thing, and sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. So that was the case here. We had a resident who thought that the bittersweet needed to be brought into control, shall we say. And he was the one that went in there on his own, basically, and he's on the landscape committee, so he's sort of in an official capacity, if you will. But he was the one that cut all the bittersweet down and made that pile, not knowing that he was putting it in a sensitive area. So, but you know, some people say no good turn goes unpunished.
Well, and the other trick with bittersweet is if you cut it and leave it there, the stuff, if it stays alive long enough, it's just going to come back. It should be removed from the site if you're going to do that.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much.
We'll take care of that other stuff just as fast as we can.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take
Thank you
care.
for coming in.
Okay. Good night.
Good night
Thank you.
now.
Especially if it's got berries on it. You just cut it, leave it in a pile full of berries, just go to sleep.
Luke, I think PFLUG.
PFLUGG.
Oh, two Gs.
I think it's two
That
Gs.
was
Yeah.
close enough. Okay, all right. The next matter on our agenda is an order of conditions for Stonebridge Drive. And I see that Mr. and Mrs. Maher are in the audience. I'm sure they're interested in what we're going to do with this. The applicant had requested a waiver of regulations for their project. And I think in order for us to consider that waiver, they have offered to give to the town of Auburn a conservation easement over approximately 1 1/4 acres of land. So, speaking again only for myself, I believe that this project justifies the granting of a waiver of the regulations, specifically a waiver of our requirement that there be no building within 25 feet of the wetland, because I do believe that what the applicant is offering to the town in the form of a conservation easement serves a substantial public interest and really outweighs any impact that granting the waiver would have with respect to any encroachment on the wetland.
I agree with you.
Okay. Any other discussion?
What's
Okay.
the work being done? I didn't get that.
You weren't listening.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
what's happening is that, and this is again before your time out,
Yes.
but
Last meeting.
the Mahars exactly have, they own property on Stonebridge Drive. They wish to build another home, basically between two wetland areas. And just given the unique topography and characteristics of the property, it would, in order for them to construct the house that they want, it would results in encroachment of a 25-foot no-build zone. And-
I get you.
And there's the plan. In
Oh, I
exchange
see.
for
I
that,
see.
they've offered to give us, or give the town a conservation easement over the Arrogant Green, which is a substantial area of property that would exist in perpetuity.
Yes.
Okay, so no
I
build,
see.
green area.
I see.
You know, I think it's a good trade-off. I think it's in the best interest of the town.
Great.
So,
Sure.
is there any questions, any discussion? Okay, in that case, and just so you know, I believe I need to write a narrative
Oh, yes, I realize that.
for the waiver. The other thing that we also need to talk about, and we didn't discuss this at the last meeting, you had, or someone had prepared a proposed easement that I think needs a little bit of work.
Sure,
Uh,
okay.
Who's your attorney?
Well, Phil O'Connell drafted that rather quickly.
Okay,
Uh,
I'm,
He actually drafted a transfer to the town, and when I read it, I almost kind of like fell on the floor.
was he giving away too much?
No, he was giving the land to the town.
Okay,
And I said, no, that's not what we're doing. We're doing a restrictive easement.
right,
So,
okay.
how would you recommend?
Well,
Because I know you had some concerns with the wording.
minor concerns, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I think it would be nice to see the conservation easement in final form, proposed final form. The other thing is because,
What do you mean by the easement in final form? The
I mean,
draft?
before,
Legal description?
well, he's prepared a conservation easement. I mean, if you want, I can certainly offer my 2 cents. I don't know, and I'll actually have to speak to the town manager if this is something that requires town council.
Okay.
Town council review, who is Bob Hennigan.
Okay.
So, and what I can do is I can contact Attorney O'Connell, who I know, and
Okay.
and then I'll have further discussion with the town manager, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
I wasn't planning to, if I was successful, record the order of conditions, the A&R, and everything at once.
Mhm.
So, you know, obviously the easement prior to.
Okay. Very, very good. So in that case, we need. Is there a motion to issue an order of conditions? Someone's going to have to be our go-to person.
But do we have conditions based on the current document for the easement, or?
Well,
Pending that.
I guess I'm wondering if we can do that with just, you said this needs some changes.
well, I think it needs to be changed, but I think the fact that a conservation easement is going to be granted, I think, and with
We
the-
can issue an order of conditions based on.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
conditions. Okay.
And what I'm asking is to work on the wording of the order of conditions that's going to be issued. So, again, my thought was there will have to be some sort of narrative explaining why the waiver is being granted, which is something that I can prepare. And then, and also in compliance with our bylaw, or regulations rather. But then we also need to address the issue of our standard order of conditions plus the special conditions that we typically issue on projects like this. So is anyone prepared to go ahead and do that?
Read the numbers.
Pretty much. Someone will need a list first.
No.
I'd like to issue standard order plus 1, 2, these are special conditions, 1, 2, 3, do we have a replication area in this?
No, there's no replication.
5, 6, 8, 9,
11.
11, yeah.
Can I see your special order? Thanks.
There's no restoration.
Right.
And I guess 13, is there stormwater going on with this?
Yeah, wasn't, from the driveway going off to the
Was there a detention basin in this?
Yes.
No, all right. then
That's
I
down,
Oh.
off property.
Yeah,
won't.
that's,
So I'll leave that one off. So what did I say?
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11.
That's what I'm going with.
okay. Also, that the issuance of the order of conditions is contingent on the applicant providing a conservation easement as described in its notice of intent filing dated August 13, 2014.
I will concur with that
Okay. very good.
additional condition.
Okay. And again, also subject to the issue of I'll prepare a narrative explaining the rationale for waiving the regulations.
So
Okay.
amended.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
We need
Oh,
someone
I'm
to
sorry.
second it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
second
sorry.
Louise? Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you.
I'll pass this over to Phil.
That will go with the, that was just for your information.
Okay.
Okay?
Now I gotta go build a house for my wife.
Dark
Thank
right
you.
now.
Not
Good
tomorrow.
night.
Rain.
Okay.
It's funny, the northern part of that photo is actually the second fairway at Package House.
I know.
Looks like
And I
sand.
visited there, and you know how many golf balls, like, there's golf balls like right by the tee blocks,
Yeah.
like a dozen of them, right off the road. Because I looked down there, it's sort of where that dot is for the Google thing, a little bit up the road to the right, that's where the conservation area is gonna be.
That's the tee right at the corner there.
And it's
Second tee.
nice in there. I mean, it's nice in there, but there's a ton of golf balls. I should have put that as a special condition.
What, they
They must remove the fill.
All the golf balls will be donated to the
Golf balls
Auburn
usually.
driving range.
Okay.
No, that's private. No,
Oh, it just looks horrible in that photo.
Okay, so we have on the agenda for discussion is the Auburn High School baseball field and garden shed. We got an email on that, didn't we?
We did.
Okay. Is there anything to discuss about it?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's fine.
So were you going to allow them to put it where they wanted to on that original plan, or what are we doing here?
I think we just
I'd like
wanted
to
to know
put this
when they were
to
gonna
bed.
do it, and they haven't
Well, they haven't
done it
finished it yet.
Right, so we just
We'll
leave it on the agenda.
Let's carry it over.
Okay.
It's okay. We've eliminated the backlog.
We're whittling it down.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is 280 Packagug Street. Several of us went on September 12th and looked at the property, and the job was, I think, half done. Is that fair to say?
About that.
Mhm.
So I guess the question is, what is the board's pleasure regarding the other? There was some firewood that was stacked against a shed, and I think there was other. Was
Still
there
a
other brush?
pallet leaning there, I think. Oh, no, a pile. It was a pile of chips, wood
Yes.
chips.
Well,
It looks like-
I
Yeah.
think we should send them another letter and saying that we appreciate them moving what they've moved, but
It's half done.
going forward, they need to move the wood pile.
The wood pile.
Right, that wood chips,
And the pile of wood
piled
chips.
firewood fall into the same category as debris
Okay.
for the purposes of erosion.
Yeah, very, very close to the wetland.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
Okay.
And then the next item is the gas pipeline, the infamous gas pipeline.
Gas pipeline
Gas pipeline.
goes through critical areas of
Is this coming through the town of Auburn?
It is not.
No,
not.
it's going through the northern part of Massachusetts.
It's not coming
Or
anywhere
is
near
it
here.
CC?
Through rural areas
Right,
and
I'm looking at
sensitive
it.
areas.
Urban.
and The MACC
I've been looking
is,
at both sides of it, and it's very interesting.
the MACC
Or
is
fossil
looking to
fuels.
get some
Yay.
support about where they'd be allowed to go through.
So really, the question here is whether the Auburn Conservation Commission wants to take a position on the gas pipeline. Certainly, MACC believes is opposed to it. Appears that Senator Warren is opposed to it. So I don't know what the board's pleasure is. If we want to take a stand on this.
I mean, obviously, each one of us has our own personal opinions,
that's-
but that's not the same as the board
Well, that's what
having
I'm
an
saying.
opinion.
That's,
Right, I
that's
don't-
exactly
I
right.
don't know
I
about
say it's
that.
a
I mean, personally, I would like in 2014 for us not to be building new fossil fuel infrastructure.
I agree.
My feeling
But
exactly.
that's just my take on it.
I agree with you, but here's my counter to that. People use heating oil. What's worse? Like, you gotta stay warm. What do you? I know what you're saying, we shouldn't be promoting it, but people need to be warm, and it's cheaper. I don't know.
But,
Tough
Cleaner.
question.
you know, from the broader perspective, you know, subsidies are one reason why fossil fuels are as inexpensive as they are.
That's
So
true.
that's a whole different can of worms.
That's true.
I'm looking at the article. I'm not sure when it was written. But I also, towards the end of the article, it says, the MACC will be scheduling meetings this summer for conservation commissions along the proposed pipeline route to discuss the regulatory process for pipeline removal.
But we're not along the route.
See, we're not.
So that would explain why we never got noticed, so.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Richmond,
And-
Mass, or Richmond,
But I think the
Virginia?
part,
doesn't
the
directly
part,
impact us.
Virginia, I think.
the part that struck me is that they had a meeting with Kinder Morgan. The MACC was concerned about Kinder Morgan's apparent lack of knowledge about Biomap 2 and the University of Massachusetts Conservation Assessment and Prioritization System. If we could take a stand of some sort and make sure that they know all that they need to do in order to go through people's sensitive property and see if there are other ways of managing it without going through sensitive areas.
Now, are they exempt from filing with conservation because they're a utility? Is that a problem?
I'm not sure, but that typically has been, that's usually what happens, you know? But I'll be real honest with you, I haven't heard, there was a lot of media attention on this over the summer, and I have not heard anything about the pipeline recently.
It's been quiet
Well, I mean,
recently.
it takes a while to build a pipeline. I
Right.
mean, you're not.
But I mean, I don't
They
even
want it
think,
done by November of 2018, though.
I mean, I don't even know how far they are in the application process.
See,
you know.
by 2018, I would hope that we wouldn't have to be depending on fossil fuels
That's
anymore.
true,
We would
yeah.
have wind,
That's only 4 years from now. No,
It's
that's
just
gonna
a-
happen.
but that is
No,
an
I know,
interesting
I
point. I
know.
mean, if as a utility, they don't have to follow certain rules, and anyone building a pipeline is going to want it to go straight, ideally.
Well, I think, I mean, there's certainly going to be oversight, though. I'm
Yeah.
sure the state will definitely be involved.
Do we know where in Massachusetts this is scheduled?
It goes
It's
up
sort of
along the
northern.
top, yeah.
Like
The
along
North
Route,
Way.
no, almost not Route 2, but sort of up that way.
I mean,
Through the
y-
Berkshires, like up along
on a
that.
philosophical level, you could argue that maybe it's troubling that utilities get to have a free pass in certain ways.
I know there's a Tennessee pipe in our town, so that's my concern. I didn't know if they were connected to that or not.
So, what do you want to do?
I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to know that if it has to be built and it's going to be built, that they did actually make a good faith effort to reduce the impact associated with it, and didn't just say, this is the way we want it to go, and we don't have to actually follow the regs because we're a utility, so this is the way it's going to go.
They seem full of
Need
roses
to
too.
spend more time familiarizing themselves with the areas that they're going to be disturbing and what the rules and regulations are regarding them.
Right. I mean, it
All
sounds
right,
like
do you
they-
want to draft a letter that urges state oversight of this project from a conservation view?
I think they're already doing that.
They have.
What, I'm just looking at,
Or as a support of state oversight, let's say.
and without, not to appear to be dodging the question, it does say, again in the article, that if we're not on MACC's email distribution list for these meetings or for
Then
discussion
don't
of-
worry about it.
No, I was going to say it gives an email address, eugenebenson@macweb.org.
All right.
So maybe we could write to Mr. Benson and ask him to provide us with more information, because,
I think we already did that.
did we get it?
Yeah, we did
I
that.
think
a
I
while
did that a
ago.
long time ago.
Yeah, well, did we get anything?
Ah.
I mean, of
I'll
course.
be on vacation for the
Yes,
summer.
I think he sent us another email,
Saying what?
another site to view.
I mean, the easiest thing for us to do would just be to echo the position that MACC has already laid out.
Yeah, let's do
We
that.
could
so
say,
that
we could draft a letter in agreement with MACC's position on this issue, if you want.
That sounds good.
I mean,
That's a done deal.
Position of support for our own
Is
organization.
that your motion then?
Oh, boy. Or we want to say, this is evil because it's greenhouse gas.
Evil seems a little harsh.
hey, it has been before
We
the
might as well put it
UN
in
this
simple terms for
past
people.
week, you know?
Methane, you know what that smells like?
It's worse greenhouse gas than CO2.
That's
What is it,
enough
like
reason
8
right
times
there.
as bad?
Okay.
It's bad news.
It is a bad one.
I'm not getting a,
I don't think we have a consensus on this
consensus
issue.
here.
I don't.
well,
Someone
should we
needs to
just,
put a motion forward.
what's that?
Someone needs to put a motion forward and then we can,
Well, that's right.
I think we could say, you know, while the pipeline is not slated to go through Auburn, some of our board members echo MACC's stated position on it.
Equivocating.
Well, the other.
Well,
Saying something.
Well, no, in all seriousness, I mean, if we're, you know, again, it's not a question of individual opinion or philosophy, it's a question of whether the board itself wants to take
Word itself.
a stand. Now, if, and I'll be real honest with you, I would like to know more about this. I know I think I said that the last time, but it's still true. And I'd like to know where they are in the application process. I think maybe a call to Mr. Benson instead of an email might reap some benefits.
I mean, I'd like to know if they do or they did have to consider alternatives, including not building it, or is it as a utility they
Exempt from.
are exempt
regulation.
from even considering not building it?
So I guess we're gonna keep.
Yeah.
Did you just hear yourself say that? Did it sound kind of funny? Well, here's our plan, but the alternative is not to build it, so what's your choice?
Well, but the thing is a not every project, if it doesn't have that waived, they do have to consider not building. I mean, it's
Like
the no-build
contingency plan.
alternative.
Okay.
So,
What is Plan B?
It doesn't look like they filed anything with the DPU though. For the landowners that have not given consent to actually have their land surveyed, they haven't issued one yet. So maybe they are trying to think of a more kinder route at this point before going forward. Maybe since they have had some opposition, that's why that hasn't been done yet.
I mean, I'd be curious to know whether the exemption from considering alternatives or considering, you know, less environmentally impacting strategy, is it different having, like, for example, a electric transmission corridor like we've seen recently versus like fossil fuel transport infrastructure?
Well, it's not just
which,
fossil
like,
fuel, by the way. It's fracked gas.
It's
from
fracked.
northern.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's one thing to say, like, oh, we're putting up transmission lines and towers that transmit electricity from one place to another,
I guess-
versus,
I guess the connection to conservation is the cost to the environment of fracking is very high. Not just in terms of global warming. I'm talking about water
right.
and contamination of soil and all kinds of things like that. I think that's why they're saying this, because the gas is coming from New York State, and the cheapest way to get it is to build a pipeline. That way you don't have to, whatever,
Right.
truck it around or whatever.
But it's not like they're
Coming
fracking
from
here.
Pennsylvania.
they're not fracking here.
Well, they're not fracking
No,
here, but
it's-
where's the acid rainfall and where's it made? You know, I mean, it's all connected.
Well, and you have more than one significant environmental issue associated with this.
There are many.
That's true.
This excerpt here struck me also. MACC is one of many groups signing a June 24th letter to 6 New England governors calling on them to right-size the energy infrastructure for a system in transition and questioning the need and wisdom of making a long-term investment in more fossil fuel infrastructure.
It does seem like a huge
it's-
investment in fossil
it's
fuel
something
infrastructure
that say,
in a world where we're trying to
you know,
tiptoe our way away from fossil fuels.
say 15, 20 years from now that we won't be using.
Right. I mean, what can it be used for other than transmitting natural gas? When we stop using natural gas, hopefully, in the next 2 decades.
You make like an alpine slide.
But you know,
Yeah, it's just...
but But Michelle raises a really good point because, again, I think maybe they kind of dipped their toes in the water to see what the response was going to be. And in fact, as we all know, it met with a great deal of opposition. Although I think Governor Patrick kind of
He waffled
he
it.
equivocated on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. So I would actually like to, I think maybe simply making a phone call to Mr. Benchin at MACC and saying, what's the status of this? Is it proceeding?
Okay.
And then suggest, what can we do, as a member of a commission for a town that is not directly affected, what is it that you would like us to do, if anything?
So who is going to make that call?
I'll make the call.
Oh, thank you.
She doesn't want to call.
Okay, so if that's
She doesn't know what
agreeable
to ask.
to, if
She's like,
that's
what do you want
agreeable
us to
to
do
you,
about this?
I don't
It doesn't
need,
come through town.
I don't need a motion or anything. I'll just, I'll call them and we'll just continue this to the next
Mr.
meeting.
Chairman.
Okay.
I will second that emotion.
Oh, snap. All right. One more step, folks.
Okay, Smokey Robinson.
With respect to certificates of compliance requests for 13 Sophia Drive and 31 and 35 Millbury Street, have we received as-built plans?
Not yet. So I'm just.
Do we
leaving
need to,
them
like,
there
remind them?
because
Sophia
Huh?
Drive.
I mean, they came before us wanting certificates of compliance, right?
Right.
And we wrote to them
Requested.
asking for as-bills.
Yeah, and I just haven't got them yet.
All right. Why don't we carry this over again to the next
Yeah.
meeting, and if we don't get them by the next meeting, maybe send them a reminder letter?
Sure.
Okay. And then 2 Winchester Avenue. What is going on with 2 Winchester Avenue?
I called and asked, left a message for her to call me about
her
coming
down
to
the
the
house.
meeting and never heard from her.
Is that right?
They completed the building on that shed. They
Yeah, right behind the house.
We're talking about number 2.
Not 4. 2 is
Oh.
adjacent. It's
One closer to.
Oh, yeah, right
South-
on the corner.
South Street.
Oh, that was where the channel in the back, and wasn't this another place with stacked
Stacked
firewood
Yes.
or
Yeah.
building materials,
right next to
etc.?
the
Right,
the
yeah,
stream there.
right next to the
and of course
channel.
the channel goes right through their property.
next to the
They
stream?
put a new
Yeah.
drain in there.
And this is directly adjacent
They
to the
did.
culvert we
After
were had
telling us that there
concerns
was no
about.
problem,
Wow.
right? Yeah, I thought so. Did you know that? They actually replaced that.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Not yet. Dan, they replaced that.
Wait a second, I was just there today.
Oh yeah.
I just drove by it and thought, wait a second,
There
is
it
that where? Yeah. So yeah, I believe I saw guys working on it either yesterday or today.
Yeah, the last few days.
I didn't examine the quality of the culvert though. I'll have to.
We could maybe do that on Saturday.
Did the repair
Yeah.
on the road?
Yeah, right by your house.
Yeah, they put a berm right there. Did you notice that?
Yeah, well,
Just there, and the rest
the
of the
asphalt
road
on
has
the
the
side of
cave.
the road
Was
was
the
caving in,
drain
and the hillside
new too,
itself was
wasn't it?
not stable.
I didn't think
It
there
was
was a
done
drain
when I
there
drove
before.
here late
Yeah.
this
I thought they
afternoon.
put a drain in.
And I said, oh, look, at least they
Agenda
put
before.
a
Fixed
real
all the
berm instead of a
sidewalks.
cave berm, so it is gonna direct the water to go there and keep it out of, that's a good thing, I think.
Well, this is enforcement for 2 Winchester has been on the agenda for the last 3 or 4 meetings. What I would suggest is sending a letter to the owner requesting their attendance at the meeting of October 8th. Maybe enclose another copy of the enforcement order and advise them that if they don't appear, we will refer this to DEP. Well, we can either refer this to DEP for further enforcement, or we may consider
Fine.
punitive measures, i.e. fines.
What exactly did they do there, Chairman?
They haven't done anything. What happened is that they stacked, there's like building material, some, I mean, there were bricks and there are some like wooden
Yeah,
boards and
there's
things.
cinder blocks. There
But
are
right
all
next
sorts
to
of
the channel, like
materials.
within a foot or 2 of the channel. And so we had sent an enforcement order to them, telling them to remove it, and they haven't. I think we got a call initially saying they couldn't make our first meeting, right? But then they haven't responded since then. So, I mean, I don't think it would take a great deal of effort to clean up the problem, but they haven't addressed it with us.
Okay.
So can I have that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Okay, you got that, Sheila?
Yeah, and who's seconding it?
No one yet.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Let
is there any
Michelle have
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Is there anything else?
Route 1220 reconstruction.
That would just carry
Yeah,
forward
that's-
until it's done. We have an enforcement order on them.
Yeah, basically the work is in progress, and there's a huge detention basin that, I mean, gonna be the size of a football field.
Yeah, it's a stadium size thing.
Basically, so, but it's a work in progress. They haven't finished the construction or reconstruction work on 12 and 20. So once that's done, we expect that that detention basin will be finalized, and then we can go and,
Where's the, near the hobby shop?
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
behind that junk shop. I don't want to call it junk shop.
I'm gonna call it a hobby
Hobby
shop.
Sanford and
Just be nice.
Sons,
yeah.
or whatever it is.
I think it's called
Okay, I did notice that. That was
Yeah,
good.
so we're carrying that just
Okay, we
until,
need to sign the order of
Conditions.
conditions even though we haven't got
Yes.
the rest of the,
yes.
Nope.
no.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
Nope. Wasn't on the board there.
Sorry.
That's right.
It's okay.
That site, in one form or
Don't
another,
touch
has
the
been on the
paper.
agenda
Oh,
pretty much the
put it
entire
down.
time I've been associated with the commission. One of my first site walks ever, I think back in '04, was that site behind that shop.
Oh, yeah.
My.
Before they cut it, of course it's regrown now and has been cut again,
Yeah.
but it had been recently cut back in '04 when I first was on the commission. It was like clear cut, and then little by little the trees have sprouted back up. It's all come back up again, and it's cut again.
Is anyone going to the fall conference this Saturday about
You feel
invasive
like you're
species?
You can't sign it.
Makes you sense the passage of time.
Yes.
I still get the Mac emails.
Great.
I saw it was this weekend.
Well, it's like back when I was in middle school, we helped build.
I don't know,
rocket
is anyone interested in
wooden
going to that
one. And then, of
conference?
course,
Regular
like
one.
6 years
This-
ago, they
this
ripped it
weekend
out
at
for the metal
Framingham
and
State.
plastic one.
Dan, are you aware of the invasive species thing going on this weekend at Framingham State?
I am unaware of it.
Managing aquatic invasive plants, getting your feet wet and coming out ahead at Framingham State this weekend.
What time, what are the dates and times?
8:30 to 4 this Saturday.
Is this aquatic invasives? Was
It's
that pun
aquatic-
intended?
yes,
Ah, getting your
aquatic.
feet wet, I see what you did there.
I didn't write it, I'm just reading.
Okay, would you be interested in going, Tom?
I wouldn't be, because I have plans, otherwise I probably would, because I think it would be very interesting.
All right, I know that
Given we
I
have the
can't do
amount
it
of-
either.
No, either.
I am working.
I wish I
Okay.
could, but I
All
can't.
right. So we had discussed making a site walk to 8 Cranberry Lane on Saturday. Are there any takers?
Okay.
Yeah.
I may not be able to make it this time.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
possibly not.
And then.
What else do we want to look at? Is there anything else we want to look
Yeah,
at
there was something else, was it?
on the agenda? I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, we were talking about going to see something else.
We did actually. Was it Southbridge Street Court?
I've been there. I mean, if you have the time and want to take a look, and actually we can walk there, or not walk there, we can drive there. It's not far.
I'm familiar with it. That's-
Oh, did you want to go up in Southbridge Street Court or no? Oh, that.
It's been lifted.
We
yeah,
lifted
that's
it.
right, that's right.
Lifted it, but.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just thinking of 71 Hill Street, that you're going to meet up with, get in touch with the
I
owners
will.
at some future date.
Exactly. Maybe that's what you were thinking of. Okay, so I guess if that's the case, the only sidewalk we have scheduled for Saturday would be 8 Cranberry Lane.
Okay.
It's Potter Farm Development.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested in breakfast, we meet at 8 o'clock at the Heritage, and we'll go there for 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Maybe we'll even give Mr. Campbell a call too.
Are we going to Magna Vista on Saturday as well, Mike?
I don't think we have to.
No?
Nope.
That's out, that's closed and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken care of. Okay, so if no one has anything else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.